All I can tell you is, in retrospect, if I'd used a government account and I had said, hey, you know, let's release everything, let's let everybody in America see what I did for 4 years, we would have the same arguments.
But
so that's all I can say.
Did you try to wipe the whole server?
I have no idea. That's why we turned it over.
You were in charge of it. You were the official in charge. Did you wipe the server?
What, like with a cloth or something?
I don't know.
Well,
you
no.
know how it works digitally. Did you try to wipe the whole server?
I don't know how it works digitally at all. I do not have any.
You did not try.
Ed, I know you want to make a point, and I can just repeat what I have said.
It's a simple.
In order to be as cooperative as possible, we have turned over the server. They can do whatever they want to with the server to figure out what's there, what's not there. That's for the people investigating it to try to figure out. But we turned over everything that was work related, every single thing. Personal stuff, we did not. I had no obligation to do so, and did not.
All right.
Thank you all. Thank you all very much.
Is this an indication that this issue isn't going to go away for the remainder of your campaign?
Nobody talked to me about it, other than you guys.
Availability. So we're going to go to that right now. She's speaking to the media.
Every American understands what the import of this rhetoric on the other side actually is, because it is inflammatory and something that every sensible American should reject. Well, first of all, my position on comprehensive immigration reform hasn't changed one bit. I voted for, supported, sponsored, fought for, argued for comprehensive immigration reform and whatever other piece of it, like the Dreamers, that appeared before the Senate when I was in the Senate. And, that is a position that predates my being in the Senate, and I continue to hold the same position. Specifically with respect to children on the border, if you remember, we had an emergency, and it was very important to send a message to families in Central America: do not let your children take this very dangerous journey, because a lot of children did not make it. They were robbed, they were raped, they were kidnapped, they were held for ransom by smugglers. So I think it was the responsible message that I and many others, including the White House, was trying to say to families: do not let your children, your young children, do this. Now I think we have a different problem, because the emergency is over. We need to be moving to try to get people out of these detention centers, particularly the women and children. I think we need more resources to process them, to listen to their stories, to find out if they have family in this country, if they have a legitimate reason for staying. So I would be putting a lot of resources into doing that. But my position has been and remains the same.
Why do you think the plan's flawed? If you have a strong view on this one, why not make your views known on Keystone XL?
Right.
They're very similar issues.
No, they're not. They're very different issues. First of all, the Arctic drilling issue is not one that I have had any involvement in. I had no official involvement in it. I had no responsibility for it. I am expressing my personal view based on my review of the information that we have available. I think the very grave difficulties that Shell encountered the last time they tried to do that should be a red flag for anybody. I have been to the Arctic. I have been to Barrow, our most northernmost outpost in the United States, and I think we should not risk the potential catastrophes that could come about from accidents in looking for more oil in a pristine, one of the few remaining pristine regions of the world. Rather, we should be focusing on clean, renewable energy and moving heaven and earth to provide the tax incentives, the financing, setting the goals, as I'm doing in my climate and energy policy. And on the other issue, I've said repeatedly, I I would really hope that there would be a decision, and I have been, waiting for it because I do feel a sense of responsibility having been involved in the process early on. But I am getting impatient because I do feel like at some point a decision needs to be made, because I'm not comfortable saying, I have to keep my opinion to myself, given the fact that I was involved in it. So at some point, I may change my view on that, but hopefully somebody will write this and somebody in the State Department or the White House will say, hey, maybe we better hurry up and get that decision made. So.
Let's go local again, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
In light of all of the controversy surrounding the emails and the servers, do you regret setting up your email system the way that you finally wanted to set it up?
Well, I do now. I mean, in retrospect, what was supposed to be convenient has turned out to be anything but convenient. But, I have to say, Jeff, that the position that I've taken from the very beginning is the same today as it was, months ago. And I've been thinking about the fact that, I get a lot of attention because I had a personal email account, as did other high-ranking officials in the State Department and elsewhere in the government. And I had not sent classified material nor received anything marked classified. If I had had a separate government account, so that I'd had a totally designated government account and a totally designated personal account, and I started running for president, and I said, I want the American people to see everything that was part of my time in the State Department, because I think it's educational, and I want the State Department to release all of my emails, which they already had, by the way, in the government computer system. We would be going through the same process. That's what I want Americans to understand. When something is released, whether it's in response to a Freedom of Information request, or in my case, where I said, there's 55,000 pages out there, please put them out. There is a process that has to be gone through. You want to make sure nobody's personal email is on there and other personnel issues, those kinds of things. So we would be going through the same, because other agencies get to make the same claims, like, this may not have been an issue in 2009, but now it is. Or in 2011, this should have been handled differently than it was. It has nothing to do with me, and it has nothing to do with the fact that my account was personal. It's the process by which the government, and sometimes in disagreement between various agencies of the government, make decisions about what can and cannot be disclosed. So I'm very comfortable that, this will eventually get resolved, and, the American people will have plenty of time to figure it out.
So let's do one more, then we got a little
Secretary
bit.
Clinton,
Go ahead.
but Secretary Clinton, you're putting this on the process and saying this is Bob Woodward yesterday was suggesting there's shades of Watergate here and how you're reacting. And Eugene Robinson, who's not a conservative, a liberal columnist, Washington Post today, said that at the very least, you've stonewalled, and he said that you should tell the American people, I'm sorry, I was wrong. But instead, in recent days, we're talking about Snapchat, you've been blaming the Republican attacks. Is your leadership about taking responsibility?
Oh, I do take, look, Ed, I take responsibility. Look, and I just told Jeff, in retrospect, this didn't turn out to be convenient at all. And I regret that this has become such a cause célèbre. But that does not change the facts. And no matter what anybody tries to say, the facts are stubborn. What I did was legally permitted, number one, first and foremost, okay? Number two, I turned over, out of an abundance of an attempt to be helpful, over anything that I thought was even vaguely related. In fact, they've already concluded more than 1,200 of the emails I gave them have nothing to do with the work. And I said make them public. And that's the process that one goes through to make them public. So I know there's a certain level of, sort of anxiety or interest in this, but the facts are the facts.
That's also that two inspectors general say that there are hundreds, I believe.
But Ed, you're not listening to me. If it were, Ed, if it were a, Well, if it were a government account, they would be saying the same thing. The fact... No. But, well, look, this is a, well, first of all, that is not in any way agreed upon. The State Department disagrees. That happens all the time in these efforts to say what can go out and what can't go out. That is a part of the ordinary process. Everybody's acting like this is the first time it's ever happened. It happens all the time. And I can only tell you that the State Department has said over and over again, we disagree. So that's what they're sorting out, and that's what happens a lot of the times. But whether it was a personal account or a government account, I did not send classified material, and I did not receive any material that was marked or designated classified, which is the way you know whether something is. What you're seeing now is a disagreement between agencies saying, you know what, they should have, and the other saying, no, they shouldn't. That has nothing to do with me. If it had been a government account and I said, release it, we'd be having the same arguments.
The FBI believes that you tried to wipe the entire server. Did you try to wipe the entire, so that there be no email, no personal, no official?
Well, my personal emails are my personal business, right? So we went through a painstaking process and turned over 55,000 pages of anything we thought could be work-related. Under the law, that decision is made by the official. I was the official. I made those decisions. And as I just said, over 1,200 of the emails have already been deemed not work-related. Now, all I can tell you is, in retrospect, if I'd used a government account and I had said, hey, you know, let's release everything, let's let everybody in America see what I did for 4 years, we would have the same arguments. So that's all I could say. I'm not, you know, I have no idea. That's why we turned it over.
You were in charge of it. You were the official in charge. Did you wipe the server?
What, like with a cloth or something? Well, no. I don't know how it works digitally at all. I do not have any. Ed, I know you want to make a point, and I can just repeat what I have said. In order to be as cooperative as possible, we have turned over the server. They can do whatever they want to with the server to figure out what's there or what's not there. That's for the, you know, people investigating it to try to figure out. But we turned over everything that was work-related, every single thing. Personal stuff, we did not. I had no obligation to do so and did not.
All right,
Thank you all. Thank you all very much.
All right, that was Hillary Clinton speaking to the media, taking questions from the press in Nevada. Let's bring in John Nichols, Washington correspondent for The Nation magazine.
I'm the leading state sponsor of terrorism.